So I guess it depends on, what people want. Can you hear the pages? I have a big book. I like big books. There we go. Alright, let's see. This is going to be an interesting stream. We'll see if we do this again. But I guess I'll read... I don't know. I guess The Telltale Heart? Let's see. What page was that on? Let's see. It's on... I didn't even mark it. Aha. It's on page 555. So, let's get to that. Flip through. It's so nice and quiet. I love it. Okay. This book has I think everything that Poe's written in it. All of his poetry, his articles, stories. Okay. Oh, this is much shorter than I remembered it being. Well, we'll read. If any. Hello, everyone. Welcome to story time. Welcome, class. Feel free to check in. Oh, I almost turned my tea off. If you haven't clicked the follow button, you feel free to do so now. I hope everyone can hear me okay. I'm about to get started reading The Telltale Heart. I guess warnings for murder, madness, Poe being Poe. I don't know. Alright, here we go. If I read to myself, it's fine. I love reading. Okay, The Telltale Heart. True, nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How, then, am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I could tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived it haunted me day and night. Object there was none, passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing, but you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. Let me turn the alerts on. Sorry, guys. I just realized those weren't on again. Okay, there we go. Ah! There we go. I don't know what happened. I was never kinder to the old man than during the week before I killed him, and every night about midnight I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed so that no light shone out, and then I thrust in my head. Oh, you should have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ha! Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously. Oh, so cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye, and this I did for 7 long nights, every night just at midnight. But I found the eye was always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see he would have been a very profound old man indeed to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked in upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night I was more than usually cautious when in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph to think that there I was, opening the door little by little, and he not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back, but no. His room was as black as pitch, with the thick darkness, for the shutters were close fastened through fear of robbers, and so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing in on steadily. I had my head in, and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in the bed, crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed, listening, just as I have done, night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no, it was the low stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt, and pitied him, although I chuckled at the heart. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise, when he had turned in the bed. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor." Or, "It is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp." Yes, he has been trying to comfort himself with all these suppositions, but he had found all in vain, because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. "Hi, Kai." So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of the spider, shot from out the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue, with a hideous veil over it that chilled the marrow in my bones, but I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the ray as if by instinct, precisely upon the damned spot. And now I have not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over-acuteness of the senses. Now, I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury, as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. But even yet I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Meantime the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, I say, louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I have told you that I am nervous, so I am. And now, at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet for some minutes longer I refrained and stood still, but the beating grew louder, louder. I thought the heart must burst, and now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once, only once. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. But for many minutes the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. Lost my spot. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If still you think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. The night waned, and I worked hastily, but in silence. For all I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot whatever. I had been too wary for that. A tub had caught all. When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men, who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been deputed to search the premises. I smiled, for what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man, I mentioned, was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasures, secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought the chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigue, while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But still they sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definitiveness, until at length I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I now grew very pale, but I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice. Yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I rose and argued about trifles in a high key and with violent gesticulations, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observations of the men, but the noise steadily increased. Oh God, what could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, louder, louder. And still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God, no, no, they heard. They suspected. They knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think, But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again, hark, louder, louder, louder. Villains! I shrieked. Dissemble no more. I admit the deed. Tear up the planks. Here, here, it is the beating of his hideous heart. All done. That was a lot faster than I thought it would be. I forgot how short that story was. Welcome. Hi, Kai. Hi, ID. How is everyone tonight? Hi. Thank you. Oh, wait. Oh, my God. Is it Animo only? Eon. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna kill Eon. It's fine. No. It wasn't intentional, but it did work well. I was like, why is Kai messaging me in Discord? That's true. Then again, ID can talk over that. I don't know why, but... Have you read Poe before? You can write a response if you would like to, but this was more like story time before bed. If you like horror before bed anyway. Hi! Hi, Emrys. Welcome! Our librarian is in the house. Yay! Is it Emrys? So many teachers. Yes, I'm collecting you all like Pokemon. ID doesn't know it, but I'm stealing him for the tech department. If I used to teach? Sure. Yep, Emrys. Okay. Emrys, did you post the picture of the Shakespeare? I think. I have 2 librarians on my list. I was very jealous. I have some old books. I should post some pictures of my first editions and such. I'm a book hoarder. Or collector, I should say. Yay. But I like my Poe. I wish we could do some more modern stuff, but I worry about, like, copyright and stuff. At least with the older, like, Poe, it's all public domain, so I can read it and not be worried about it, which is nice. And thank you for the follow, Emrys. I see that you did 2 days ago. And also, Diaki, thank you for that as well. That was a really fast one. I can read another one if you guys want. Is there any requests? I have an entire book. I can read some poetry, too. Haha, poetry. Discussion question 1. What do you think happened to the narrator afterwards? Do you think the policeman actually heard the heart? Oh. Well, what do we think? Did they hear the heart? Or had he gone mad? You don't have to raise your hand, Kai. Love to read modern stuff as well. Yeah, I know. It stinks. It would be cool. I had an idea, but I don't know if it'll work. Maybe if I got a little bigger, I could reach out to authors and have them come on stream. That would be awesome. I don't know if anyone's done that before. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do this, yes. I'm gonna find a way. I may or may not have some actual connections, but we won't talk on that. Ah, you did. I love poems. Send it and I can read it as long as it's appropriate for stream. I'm a say-so streamer. I can read it on stream or privately. It does either way. It is the most say-so poem. On stream is fine. Yay! I should get people to send me things to read on Twitter or in Discord too. That would be good. And then I could read those. Yeah. It's a good idea. Should I read another one? Should I read The Raven? I love The Raven. Or one of the 5,000 poems about stars and death. Demon. Yay, thank you. I can read... Oh, Tamerlane I like. I can read The Raven. I can read... On Discord, thank you. I can read... What else is a good one? Lenore is a good one. Those are my favorite too. Annabelle Lee. Annabelle Lee's a good one. Send a request. Yay, what request? Yes. ID. I see a request. Where's the request? Wait. I have... There we go. I have my Discord set up on this side now. Accept. Yay. I hit accept. I think. There we go. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Where the red fern grows? We're sleeping at 3 a.m. I can't read that one. It's not in the public domain. I think it's 72 years. I'll have to check. Hold on. Let's see. I think some new ones hit. The Great Gatsby just hit this year, I believe. Was it this year? Or last year? I think it was last year. Because some Agatha Christie is hitting it soon. I'm super excited about that. Alright, so January 1st is Public Domain Day. And everything from 1926 or earlier is in the public domain. Time for me to start my next work shift. I'm not going to read that one. That one's no good. So let's see. What entered the public domain in 2022? I will read this one next time, Kai. Thank you. Let's see. Is there anything good? Oh, that's right. Winnie the Pooh. Like, the actual one by Milne has hit the public domain this year. This is turning into an educational stream. It wasn't supposed to be. But there we go. Let's see what else did. Nabokov's Mary did. Sinclair Lewis did. Which Sinclair Lewis? Oh, It Can't Happen Here wasn't. That's 1935. Let's see, what's this one? Faust is... Is it really that one? Hell yes. Okay, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd is my favorite Agatha Christie, and I'm totally reading it on stream. I don't care. I don't have it with me right now, but buckle up, because we are going to be doing that one on stream. I love it. Yay! Plumed Serpent, Stravinsky, Don Juan, Battling Butler. Oh, movie. Movie. Faulkner, Soldier's Pay, Enough Rope. Color Struck by Hurston. Ooh. Oh, those are in the Japanese ones. No, I don't want to sign up for a newsletter. There's so many good ones. The Scarlet... Oh, wait, that's the film. Wait, if the film is... The Scarlet Letter already is. Kafka's The Castle can be. The Land by Vita Sackville West, also good. Andre Gide, Man Equals Man. The Sun Also Rises. Not reading that on stream. Was not a fan. Oh my god, I'm so excited. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. Sorry, I got excited. I'm gonna get the book and we'll read it next stream. We'll start reading it. I'm not reading it all in one. Very excited. Okay, I'll read, let's see, one more maybe. I guess we'll do The Raven because I like it a lot. So let's see. It's fun. Oh my god. These have my notes from college in it. It's so messy. Where's The Raven? Okay, there we go. Let's see if I can read it through my notes. The Raven. Yes. Sit down on the rug, grab a blanket, a nice cup of tea or milk, chocolate milk or something. Here we go, The Raven. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door, only this, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore. For the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more." Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore," merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice." Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, Nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, Doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore. But the raven still beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird, and bussed in door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining, that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall press, nevermore. Yay! Hi, Cinnabon. Then, methought, the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent, or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if, within the distant Aidenn, it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word or sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked, upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws a shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. I love that poem. I love the way it sounds. All the assonance in the beginning is so nice. It's such a good rhythm. Poe is brilliant. I don't care what anyone says. Today I actually had a conversation at work, and a colleague of mine informed me that another colleague had said that anyone who likes Poe has no taste, and I disagree. It's soothing. Makes me happy. Thank you. I know I can read children's books really well, but I'm glad to know it's soothing. Is it? I like reading. I like reading out loud, especially if other people are listening and want to hear it. Cinnabon, you came in. I've decided that I looked at what went into the public domain this year, and my favorite Agatha Christie novel, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, is now in the public domain, so I am free to read it without copyright issues, and I will definitely be reading that over a couple of streams. Oh no, my my coworker, no, yeah, we were talking about it. She's in agreement that Poe is brilliant, but this other colleague apparently had said that Poe is terrible and writing about he's how did she put it? Apparently this colleague said that Poe was the Britney Spears of his time. Which obviously wrong. And she also said that anyone who writes poetry or stories about depression is not a writer. And I'm like, hi, look at all the greats. Depressed or high as hell the entire time. Yeah. So I hope I never have a run-in with this other colleague because I will have words. Yes. When you're not supposed to sleep in. I'm sorry, guy. But hey, that means that maybe if I did ASMR, it would work. And everyone would fall asleep. If I whispered quietly into the mic. It's my fault. I will take blame if you do fall asleep in class. It's okay. It's a tea evening, not water. It's only been 40 minutes, that whisper. It's our voice. Is it a good one? I don't know if it is. Save it for evening when you need to sleep. Be happy to help you sleep. Let's see. Israfel is a good one. Fairyland's a good one. There's so many. I have Dickinson. I have Blake right here. I have books of poetry all around me. I'll just stick with Poe this evening. I think you guys would laugh if you were to look at my notes in a book and how ridiculous it is. Like I said, this is from when I was in school years and years ago. There's 2 poems in a row called Fairyland, and the only difference between them is that one has a hyphen between the 2 words. I mean, the poems themselves are different, but I don't know. City in the Sea is good. Anyone have any requests? I can read Lenore. Yeah, there's Lenore. Laloom. The Bells. Ooh. My controversial literary opinion is not liking Hemingway and Faulkner. Not a fan of Hemingway, honestly. And I think it's because he was forced on me in school. Faulkner, I liked The Sound and the Fury and published a piece on it. These articles, okay, I really make you fall asleep then. Yeah, Faulkner, I did The Sound and the Fury and published a paper on it. But yeah, other works I'm not that big of a fan. The only reason the Faulkner one came about was it was for a college course and just happened to be published. But Hemingway, yeah, not a fan. I am a fan of the Brontes. I love Jane Eyre. I have multiple copies of it. And I do like Pride and Prejudice. Once I finally got a chance to read it, I had to read it for a course, and the edition they told us to read was actually stunningly beautiful. So I appreciated it very much so. Sorry. I have a small keyboard set up over here. Okay. Forced to read as I lay dying in high school. Yeah, I never read that one, honestly. There's a lot of things that I skipped in school. Not skipped, that I chose, like, didn't read. I read everything I was told to read, but we didn't get that one. Like, we didn't read Macbeth either. We did Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet, which I was obsessed with. Mother being a fish. I'm trying to think what else I read in school. Can't remember anything else. There was a lot. A lot. And I have Lord of the Flies, I loved. I really did. I know a lot of people hate it. It's one of those you either like or hate, but I loved that one. I don't know. Okay, let's see. I'm going to read The Bells because I think not many people know this one as well as like The Raven or Annabelle Lee. So it's another really good one. So here we go. The Bells. It's a couple parts. Hear the sledges with the bells, silver bells. What a world of merriment their melody foretells. How they tinkle, tinkle, tinkle in the icy air of night, while the stars that oversprinkle all the heavens seem to twinkle with a crystalline delight, keeping time, time, time in a sort of runic rhyme to the tintinnabulation that so musically wells from the bells, 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 from the jingling and the tinkling of the bells. Hear the mellow wedding bells, golden bells. What a world of happiness their harmony foretells. Through the balmy air of night, how they ring out their delight from the molten golden notes, and all in tune, what a liquid ditty floats to the turtle dove that listens while she gloats on the moon. Oh, from out the sounding cells, what a gush of euphony voluminously wells, how it swells, how it dwells on the future, how it tells of the rapture that impels to the swinging and the ringing of the bells, 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 of the bells, 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 to the rhyming and the chiming of the bells. Hear the loud alarm bells, brazen bells. What tale of terror now their turbulency tells in the startled ear of night, how they scream out their affright. Too much horrified to speak, they can only shriek, shriek out of tune, in a clamorous appealing to the mercy of the fire, and a mad expostulation with the deaf and frantic fire, leaping higher, 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 with a desperate desire and a resolute endeavor, now, now to sit or never by the side of the pale-faced moon. Oh, the bells, 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 what a tale or terror tells of despair, how they clang and clash and roar, what a horror they outpour in the bosom of the palpitating air, yet the ear it fully knows by the twanging and the clanging, how the danger ebbs and flows. Yes, the ear distinctly tells in the jangling and the wrangling, how the danger sinks and swells by the sinking or the swelling in the danger of the bells, of the bells, of the bells, 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 in the clamor and the clangor of the bells. Hear the tolling of the bells, iron bells. What a world of solemn thought their monody compels. In the silence of the night, how we shiver with affright at the melancholy meaning of the tone, for every sound that floats from the rust within their throats is a groan, and the people, the people that dwell up in the steeple all alone, and who tolling, tolling, tolling in that muffled monotone, feel a glory in so rolling on the human heart of stone. They are neither man nor human, they are neither brute nor human, they are ghouls, and their king it is who tolls, and he rolls, 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 rolls. A paean from the bells, and his merry bosom swells with the paean of the bells, and he dances and he yells, keeping time, 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 in a sort of runic rhyme to the paean of the bells, keeping time, 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 in a sort of runic rhyme to the throbbing of the bells, 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 to the sobbing of the bells, keeping time, 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 as he knells, 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 in a happy runic rhyme, to the tolling of the bells, 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 to the tolling of the bells, 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 to the moaning and the groaning of the bells. Anyone want to discuss the 4 parts of the poem? I like that one. It shows the different uses of the bells. Happy, wedding, fire alarm bells, death bells. I'm trying to see if there are any others. I could read them all, but I'm not going to, obviously. El Dorado is good. Annabelle. Cinnabon's just reading. Not reading, drinking. I'll drink too. Some tea. So many bells, yeah. I like it because he's really shown the different, like, tones of the bells. The waking, the wedding, the alarm, the death. It really makes you think about how everything has multiple meanings depending on context. Trying to find one more thing to read, but I don't know what. I do eventually want to read. Oh, The Pit and the Pendulum. Mask of the Red Death is good too. Mask of the Red Death is not short. The Oval Portrait is short. I don't know. Let's brainstorm. What are some things that you guys want me to read? Like in the future. That's published before 1926. The repetition. Yeah, I do too. He's really good at repetition and the assonance in the beginning of the poems, or in the beginning of the words, which is why I really love The Raven. It's just so, it flows. Yes. The Assignation. That's a good one. Oh, wait, that's not. That one's. That one's weird. The Fall of the House of Usher is an interesting one. I really like that one a lot. Of course, when I read it, I was like, it means this. I love it. This is my interpretation. And the professor I had at the time was like, no. There is one meaning and one meaning only, and you were wrong. And I disagreed. Very heartily. Of that one. Well, it is what it is. I kind of think that we're kind of ending in a minute or so, just because it is late and I am tired myself. But thank you everyone who came in to watch me just read. I hope it wasn't too boring. Yeah, I was not a fan of him, especially since everyone in the class were future teachers to begin with. So we were like, no. He was old. I don't know what else to say, and he'd been teaching it for years. But yeah, I think I'll end it there on a good note. I've read a little bit more than I expected. Next time I'll definitely read like a longer one. I kind of like doing these later night streams that are kind of short, but Um, I'll make a list on Twitter and Discord and see what people want me to read. I'll pull some of the public domain works and put them out there. So, everyone, thank you for coming in. Let's see if if there's another quiet stream to raid. I think Ray was streaming. Night, Emerus. Oh, Ray stopped streaming. I was gonna raid her. She was doing an art stream. But she's not anymore, so I guess we'll just end it. I don't know if we really want to raid anyone when we're kind of like half asleep and whatnot, and I've made Kai go to sleep, apparently. But, alright, thank you everyone for coming in. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you for coming to class.